Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor and the Atlanta Braves. I'm watching them in Game 2 against the Cincinnati Reds. Yesterday the Braves won, so if they win this game, they've won the best 2 out of 3 and they will move on in the playoffs. Right now we're in the bottom of the 7th. The Braves have 1, Cincinnati has 0. So I'm hoping that we can see them bust this wide open and we can go ahead and put the Cincinnati Reds away. Okay, the market took a hit today, and the interesting thing is that I want to show you why it took a hit. The why of why it took a hit, these are my favorite days to buy the dips, and I'll show you why. Because it went down because of a piece of news that has nothing to do with the future of this market. In fact, I'm going to follow BITMEX. I think I followed them. Maybe I didn't. But anyway, has absolutely nothing to do with where the crypto and the digital asset market is going. They've been telling us for years now that they're going to come out with regulatory clarity. And the point is that regulatory clarity does not involve the banning. It used to possibly involve the banning of digital assets like Bitcoin and XRP and these things. That's not what it involves now. Now they're just cracking down on who has the authority to do what as far as these exchanges go. And so when the market tanks because of things like this, it's a good reason it's a great time to come in and buy a dip. Breaking, the CFTC has charged BITMEX CEO, this is Arthur Hayes. He was always an arrogant jerk anyway. He's bashed Ripple and XRP several times while he lists the product on his website, on his exchange. Never thought that was very smart. It says Arthur Hayes and other affiliated entities with offering U.S. customers crypto trading services in violation of federal law. And that's a CoinDesk article. And then we've got this. This was tweeted. The BITMEX domain was seized. It was seized by the Department of Justice, Department of Justice. So they came in and they seized BITMEX, right? This Jake Travinsky, he's an attorney. He says the CFTC just charged BITMEX with illegally operating a derivatives trading platform. But the much bigger news, USAO-SDNY has indicted Arthur Hayes and colleagues on criminal charges for Bank Secrecy Act violations. Maximum penalty 5 years in prison. Wow. So anyway, these guys are learning the hard way. You can't just go do whatever you want to do, not knowing what the regulations are or not paying attention to them. XRP Crypto Wolf. The number of Bitcoin active addresses skyrocketed to 1.14 million, which is the highest level since the 2017 bull market. Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated. The supply is capped and the number of users has been growing exponentially this whole time. So what's important here is that the market itself is growing. Now, today, this was tweeted out. Great picture. The OCC, Brian Brooks, discusses crypto and fintech innovation with SEC Chairman Jay Clayton during an industry event. The event that they were doing was this one that we've been talking about. This was a tweet from Securrency. Jay Clayton, Brian Brooks. We've talked about this, how a guy from DTCC, a Stellar guy. Anyway, they're all in, this is Chamber of Digital Commerce. So anyway, so there were some clips that are going around from this. Jay Clayton and Brian Brooks were talking with each other. There's several clips here. I'm going to show, let you listen to a few of them.
How do we, in the payment area, the maturation in the payment area, how do we make it clear to people that if you're not trying to finance your network, you're not trying to give people a return on your network, it's probably not a security. But if what you're trying to do is finance the build out of your network with your token, or provide people with a return for using the network with your token, you look at the traditional test of security, it's pretty clear it's a security. And
all right, and here's the next one. There's several, and by the way, this is the XRP bully is the guy that put all these up.
First of all, the U.S. system may be fragmented in the sense that we have more regulators dealing with finance than some other countries do, but you'd be surprised how closely coordinated we all are. There are various vehicles by which we all sit together and do make policy judgments. We have the Financial Stability Oversight Council that just met last week and discusses important issues together. We have the President's Working Group on Financial Markets that's looking at crypto, among other things. And so you'll get a coordinated response out of us, I think, better than most people appreciate.
Not only do they closely work together, I believe they've been closely working together for years. And the Federal Reserve Chairman said that they've been working on digital currencies for decades, right? That's what I think.
Successful in D.C. are the people who remember, keep it simple, stupid. Okay? If you're trying to issue, rights in a venture, like Jay says, that's equity. We all know what that is. I think security tokens are great. Jay's agency has now issued guidance about, crypto ATSs and custody, and now there's clarity about how that's supposed to work. Fantastic. Some crypto tokens are about value transmission and payments. We've issued guidance around that. I think.
All right. And then we've got this. This is also Brian Brooks. Let me see if I can.
What crypto tokens are fundamentally about is they're supposed to be the assets that are powering networks. They're the things that are incentivizing people to connect to the networks, such that the functionality of the network, like the internet, becomes very stable and resilient over time. So we see this as more of an infrastructure issue than an investment asset issue in its maturity. And the reason I think that people have seen what they've seen from the regulatory agencies is that we haven't achieved maturity yet. And so in the early days, you have speculators, right? And you have people trying to take advantage of speculators. But in the mature phase, what you have is a radical new payment system that may be better than existing payment systems, which are built on antiquated technologies.
Yeah, you think, what does that sound like? Now, also, this is an interesting clip from Brian Brooks right here, because if you've been watching this channel for any period of time, you know that the discussions about blockchain started before the Trump administration. It started way back. Obama had I can't remember the name of the government organization, but it was like the Technology and Science Office or something to that effect. I've shown you on this channel before that they were doing talks about this in front of these committees that were formed way back during the Obama administration, and maybe before that. I'm pretty sure it was going on even before that. My point is that this what I think is going to be a great reset. I believe it's a reset of the financial system that transcends administrations. It doesn't have anything. Now, the current administration could take credit for it, but I believe it's transcended several administrations because they all knew that the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. It was just a matter of time before we couldn't hold that status. That's what I believe. All right. So this is Brian Brooks talking about that.
I would echo all of that. And I would go further and just say the things we're talking about today, happily, aren't political. There's things that both of our agencies do that are kind of political. I mean, if you got a new controller and if there was a Democratic administration, you might see a little bit more bank enforcement. You might see a different kind of approach to consumer protection than we believe is appropriate, whatever. But I think these kinds of things, these are infrastructure issues. These are, I think both parties want the country to be competitive globally. They both want the country to continue to be an engine of economic growth. I really do believe that. And, some of the ideas I'm talking about, I like to sell them and make them super glossy, but they were originally the idea of President Obama's controller, right?
Yep. Okay. And then finally, here's the last clip. This is from the Cryptic Poet. Here's another good one.
Need, or do we want a central bank digital currency? What factors are driving this need?
Great. No, thank you. Actually, I think Jono did a great job in making the case for why we need a US ABDC. But before I even jump into that,
this is one of the guys on the Digital Dollar Project with Chris Giancarlo.
Though I want to kind of pick up on something that Jay said and that Controller Brooks was mentioning, and that is a lot of this discussion around current innovation really is about infrastructure. It's about the plumbing of our financial markets and our financial services system. And if I were to drill down even further, I would argue a lot of this is really still about the internet and how it continues to flow through financial markets and services. What I mean by that is that the internet, as we know, connects computers. And the more you can automate the flow of information, whether it be emails or actual transactions of financial instruments and assets, the more we can automate and reduce the amount of friction or intermediaries involved in that process, the more you can drive lower costs, greater efficiency, perhaps greater resiliency. If we design it right, we may even solve for certain privacy concerns. So I think net, that's what this generation of innovation is really all about. Now, tokenization and blockchain play a really large role in that. The same way you can send an email halfway around the world to an individual with very low cost and few intermediaries, the same is true today about financial instruments and assets. You can tokenize them and send that unique ownership information halfway around the world with few intermediaries and low costs. So that's going to touch, I think, all types of financial instruments and assets, including money itself.
Necessarily need.
You're darn right, it's going to touch money itself. Now, I saw this tweet, which is interesting. The European Central Bank has applied for a trademark for the name digital euro as it researches a possible future CBDC. Wonder why they would be wanting to trademark digital euro. I can tell you why. And then Christine Lagarde was meeting with Augustin Carstens, who's the general manager of the Bank for International Settlements. This is her and this is him. They're sitting there. We discuss current challenges facing the global economy. What does this picture remind me of? I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the time that Brad Garlinghouse was in the room giving a lecture to Christine Lagarde here and Augustin Carstens right here and all these other central bankers in that one room. I'll never forget that. Well, when I was looking for this picture today, I ran across something else interesting. Watch this and tell me if this is that same meeting. Watch this and tell me if you can recognize the guy that's asking a question, because I'll show you who he is. And remember, this was back in 2019, I believe.
The Bank of England for a month, and I had to pay my rent in advance. It cost me $10 and took me 20.
By the way, the yard man just showed up. So if you hear anything in the background, that's what we're dealing with. But I just wanted you to listen to this guy's voice and see his face.
4 hours to transfer the money from Bank of England to Santander UK. So I'm not going to tell you what the platform was. You know what my banks are. The problems with that transaction were that the money was uninsured for the...
Now, do you know how I keep telling you that it's all connected? Everybody's connected and all the world is a stage. I keep saying that over and over. Well, remember, this is back in 2019. All these people know each other. All these people you've been seeing Ripple meeting with, and some of them that you're starting to see Stellar meet with, all these people are connected. They're all in the same club. They all are IMF, you name it, IMF, EU, BIS, World Economic Forum, Federal Reserve. They're all in the same club, and they all keep popping up almost like actors in a play. And this is one of them. That, my friends, I'm 99.9% sure is Barry Eichengreen. Well, who's that? Barry Eichengreen, he is this guy. Let's see, right here. We've talked about him before. He is professor of economics and political science, University of California, Berkeley, but he used to be like an advisor to the IMF. There he is. There he is in the audience with Brad Garlinghouse. And then here he is, fast forward to July 28th, 2020, the role of digital assets in a post-COVID world with Ripple CTO David Schwartz. He did the BlockStars podcast. Think all this is coincidences? Not me. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that there are no coincidences. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.